The show off. The show for people who want to find out who they are, then do it on purpose. And here is your host, Janine Coombs.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Show Off. Today we have the amazing Michelle Hartley. Now, for all of our guests, I asked them to write a little intro so I don't have to use my brain. And this is what Michelle put. The brightly coloured, slightly sweary HR woman off of LinkedIn. I would like to add a few words to that. She's making me work for this. Instigator of Getting the Bin Fridays, Cards Against Humanity Mondays, and How Are You on a Scale of Hedgehog Cake? Cat Mum, host of The Great Geek Together and the HR Geek Squad, and talented user of AI graphics. But if you're still bamboozled about all of that, I think she's an HR trainer, speaker, coach, and community host. Is that fair?
Well, when you put it like that, I don't know why I'm so tired.
I was just like, what don't you do? You know, I mean,
That's brilliant. That is a lovely intro. Thank you. I genuinely do use that intro that I've given you for lots of podcast appearances. I genuinely just say I'm the brightly coloured sweary one off of LinkedIn.
Yeah, well, maybe
because that's how people know me.
I'll send you mine. I think it's better.
Yes, I'll take that. Thanks.
That's coming from a marketer. But are you just an Energizer bunny, or are you like not real and you have to plug yourself in at night, or you sleep, in a coffin?
Well, I am not. Well, I'm definitely not an Energizer bunny. I think because, and I don't know if you find this in self-employed life, I basically decided that I'm not doing anything that I don't like, so I'm just going to follow the joy. And so, of course, when you're doing stuff that you love every day, all the time, you have lots of energy for it because you love it. So, yeah, not an Energizer bunny, but definitely just follow my joy and do stuff that I love. So it's easy to be happy.
And the thing is, I mean, I that follow the joy is actually something I've been thinking about a lot recently. But it took me. I'm still not 100% doing it. I'm still sniffing it out. So when did you start following the joy?
Oh, well, it started when I was still in corporate. So when I was still in my corporate HR director job, I had a horrendous period of burnout and was off work. Well, I only took 6 weeks off work because why would I take more? I should have taken, I genuinely think I should have taken a few months, but I didn't. I took 6 weeks. But in that kind of recovery, rebuilding myself, refinding myself, what I realized was this mask that I was putting on of like corporate beige was not serving me. And actually, I realized that it took a lot of this precious energy to pretend to be somebody that I wasn't. And so that's where the whole thing started, where I was like, aha, hang on. I haven't got as much energy as I had before. I need to find a way to be more me so I'm not wasting my energy putting on this fake face. So that's where it started. And then it carried on into self-employed life because I was like, why am I like grinding myself into the ground for less than my corporate salary doing stuff that I don't even like? And so that's where it then kind of followed through. And I was like, actually, I can say no to this, or I can pass this work to someone else, or, I can give it to a trusted friend or whatever. And so it's then kind of become my thing since then.
It sounds simple, doesn't it? It sounds simple. You just don't do what you don't like, but it feels like at certain points of your business, it feels like every lead is make or break. And if I say no to this, will I ever get a sales call ever again? Or the guilt or the shame of turning down good money, good business. It's there's a whole can of worms in there, isn't there?
Yeah, massively so. Yeah. And I think my thing was like, I can't say no to this piece of work. I need to do everything that comes in because that's how it works. I say yes to everything and it all works out, and that's how I get the money and that's how I do the things. But the reality is, once I started doing those things and it was for less money or for stuff I wasn't enjoying, I genuinely could feel myself like sinking down into my chair, like just wanting to die because it was such miserable work. So I think for me, I had to do like a bit of that, like say yes to everything, see what comes out stuff, to then realize actually I don't want to do this. Like this isn't my thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think there is a bravery in saying no. But actually, my other little mantra that lives in my head is, there's enough work out there for everybody. So actually, if it's not yours, give it to someone else because they'll benefit from it, and actually they'll do the same for you back at some point. I always think there's like a big thing about, what goes around comes around. If you're a kind person, you believe that work will come to you, it will, and it has ever since. Touch wood.
The older I get, the more I think it's about your beliefs.
Yes.
Like it becomes self-fulfilling prophecy, doesn't it? What you believe becomes true. Believe you can and believe you can't. You're right. That kind of
Yeah,
attitude.
exactly.
I'm a marketer, and I love helping people with their positioning of their services, etc. But if they are in a negative mindset, or they have this identity, they identify with a person who does not do this stuff. I am a
Yeah.
person who does not say no to good work. I am a hard worker, therefore work should be hard. And if it's
Yes.
unenjoyable, it's not work. I
Yes.
mean, some of that is in my story. If it's not hard work, it's not work, which is
Yeah.
not the truth, is
Ridiculous.
it?
Yeah,
Um,
totally get that.
so something you said interests me. The mask. You had a mask on.
Mm.
Did you realise you had a mask on at the time, or not?
No, well, yes, and no, I suppose. So I always had a very solid, I guess, partition wall, like a solid partition wall somewhere in my brain that was like, well, no, this is work Michelle and this is home Michelle, so therefore never the two shall meet. And I was very, very, really hard on myself for that. So I would go into work, something horrendous will have happened at home, and I would go into work and be exactly the same, because I was like, nope, I cannot let these two paths cross. That's it. That I'm work Michelle now. And then as I kind of, I guess, grew into myself, I don't know, maybe when I got more senior, or maybe when I was in a safer place, I kind of realized it was okay to have a personal life and talk to people about home and stuff. And then I think with HR, so my chosen profession, I think it's the worst one to go into if you don't like wearing a mask, because you're constantly having to be the organizational conscience and the sensible one and the one that has to be above reproach on anything, and so it naturally makes you have this really fake visage in place. And so I've made it my mission now that I'm going to break every single HR person's fake visage. Hence the beige to brilliant tagline.
Yes. And I did want to ask you about that because it sounds fabulous. Let me find the line. I'm looking at my notes, everybody, if you're listening to this. I do not have an encyclopedic brain. I have to look at my notes. So beige to brilliant is in your tagline on LinkedIn. And it's an ethos, and it represents, I would suggest, your own path, but it's also what you help
Yes.
your clients with. Is that fair?
Yes, exactly that. So yeah, it absolutely tells my story from going from this kind of beige, sensible corporate human to this brilliant rainbow of pink you see before you today. But also, yes, I help other people kind of break out of the beige to brilliant, or break out of beige and get into brilliant. Gordon Bennett, that's a word, isn't it? Through my program and coaching and geeks and stuff like that. So yeah, it literally just runs through everything that I do, I think.
Yeah. And what do you do with people? Is it like crystals in your bra? Is it planting the moon? Is it climbing trees? Eating matcha cookies infused with mushrooms?
Flags.
Nice.
So I do one-to-one coaching. I do a program called Find Your Awesome, which is a 10-week program where we go through, I think it's 5-ish HR topics and then 5-ish personal topics. So it kind of covers the personal development bit and the worky bit. And then my community is called the HR Geek Squad, and it is probably the most feral, unhinged group I have ever been a part of in my life. But I love it. So it's a WhatsApp group with, I don't even know now, 120 people in it, something like that. And it's brilliant. Literally every day it makes me howl with laughter. And where else do you get that? It's just so much joy. So yeah, they're the main spaces. And then I do corporate training and stuff for grown-ups. But the principle of that one is I call myself the Salt Bay of training to corporates. So I'm sprinkling the seasoning on your boring training. So I just try and my whole shtick is, just because it's training in a corporate doesn't mean it has to be boring and quiet and tedious and monotone. So when organizations bring in for training, it's because they want something fun, engaging, bright, still packs a punch with the learning, but actually is a different way of connecting with your delegates. So that's my gift.
Yeah. I mean, this goes through every corporate trainer, corporate discipline, I think the assumption is it's corporate, it needs to be buttoned up, serious. I would say navy is
Yes.
corporate colour, but in my experience. But it's funny because if you were sitting in a training, you wouldn't want boring and
Yes.
inspiring and same as everybody else, would you? So why do people think that if they're selling those services, they automatically it's just
I know.
programming in there. There's some weird. I
Yes.
don't know.
It's a very weird disconnect, isn't it? And when I found in corporate, when I was like buying training services, I literally couldn't find anybody that was doing what I do, as in something fun, something interesting, something that left people with like a light bulb moment or some real thing that really made an impact for them. No, it was just everybody barreling out the same odd trudge
Mm,
on slides, of which there were 10,000. Like,
yeah,
and that doesn't make me happy. And it didn't in corporate, and it doesn't now.
yeah, yeah. So I just want to make sure that I've fulfilled the brief of the podcast, which of course is called the Show Off because I was told to show off as a child, and then now I realise that actually showing off is fine and it's fun, and I want to do it. Swear.
Woohoo!
So did you get told to show and stop showing off as a child? Do you feel like
Oh,
you
always.
really?
Yeah,
It's rife, isn't it?
yeah. Yeah, it's terrible, and I genuinely think that that put me back about 15 years because, like you, I got into my 20s and was like, "Oh no, I can't talk about that." And then suddenly I realised, and when I hit my 30s, very much not 30 now, when I hit my 30s, I was like, "Oh my god, I can talk about this stuff, and it is okay to say that I'm awesome at this." And it just, yeah, it broke me for years. So yeah, I like that you've got to show off.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I was talking to somebody who's far more introverted than you or I, and she was actually encouraged to show off more. She was like, why aren't you putting yourself out
Oh
more? Why aren't you? So nobody's ever right, are they? Nobody's ever
no,
right when they're a child.
no.
Hopefully things are improving nowadays with parenting. Who knows?
I mean, you'd hope so.
Um, but what do you think was the turning point for you then? I know you talked about burnout, and was that the turning point where you were like, do you know what? I cannot go on like this. What have I been doing wrong in inverted commas? Oh, it's because I actually haven't been myself. Is that's Did you go through any coaching or therapy, or was it just a personal in the 6 weeks time off you?
Yeah, it was kind of. I think I had like an idea that it wasn't serving me. Um, a bit of time before I actually burned out. So I burned out in 2019, and I kind of knew around 2013 that the way that I was operating wasn't sustainable. So whenever I describe like my working career, basically burnout was my strategy. So I'd just work and work and work and work and work until I went bang or something happened. Then I'd have a break, or I'd start a new job and I'd work and work and work and work and work till something happened and bang. And it's literally that was how I was living my life.
Yeah,
And it was only when it got to like 2013 that I was like, oh, this probably isn't the right way to do things. And yet there I was doing it again. So I think part of my initial period of burnout was that I'd lost my CEO, so he'd passed away that year in 2019, and I wasn't really dealing with it very well because when you work in HR, you have to kind of deal with it for everybody else. I was kind of putting this like, you know, calm face on, rational face on, very neutral face when talking about it. And yet I was on the phone to family members, I was on the phone to insurers, like all the real stuff. And then, of course, by the time I got home, there's nothing really left for me. And I was just like, I can't, like, I've got nothing left to sit here and cry, even if I wanted to.
yeah,
Um, and so I think there was this kind of, it was like a mix of like, burnout was kind of the only way I knew how to survive. And then the actual big whopper of a burnout that actually broke my brain was a 2019 one. I think it was combined with this kind of strategy of overworking, trying to kind of then live through a scenario where your boss for 5 years and probably I would call him like my bestie at work died very quickly. So there's lots of like stuff within it all balled up, and I think it just all came to a head then. But actually, I say this a lot. I think it gave me more than I thought it would. So burning out gave me myself back. It gave me a really clear understanding of how I was operating and actually how it wasn't healthy. And I think if I hadn't burned out, I would still be doing it now. I'd still be doing that, like really, really push myself to my limit, drop down. Really, I would keep doing that scenario. So I learned a lot from it. I learned a lot about like mind and body connection because before I burned out, I literally used to operate on the basis that, well, that's not a thing. My body just does what I tell it to. It's nothing to do with my mind. And of course, after burnout, when I was experiencing lots of different symptoms, I was like, oh, I see. Now it is a thing. But to come back round to your question, yes, I did have therapy. I did do some coaching, and did lots of kind of like, I guess, like inward reflection about what I was going to do differently and how I was going to never burn out again, basically. But the longer version of my story is I burned out within that 12 months probably 3 times. And I think the reality is, had I taken enough time off in that first instance, I would have probably not burned out the other 2. But because I was just so used to doing this striving, I just went back to that habit. And of course, it didn't work because I had even less in the tank than when I had burned out before.
Yeah. Oh, it's freaky, isn't it? You could still be there,
Yeah.
looking like that
And that
woman
is frightening.
in that photo you shared. I haven't got it up, otherwise I describe it. But you're smiling with your mouth, but you're like
Yeah, but
grey,
I'm not there behind the eyes.
ironed, and yeah, there's no light in your eyes. It's just sort of like,
Yeah.
this is what happy people look like, I think.
Yeah. When I do this, my face does this.
Not quite convincing. Completely the opposite to how you come across. Now, do you feel like you're still a work in progress? Or do you feel like you're 99% there?
No, and I think it's really it's naive, isn't it, to say that you're done. Like, I don't think, and even when I was corporate masking human, I was always constantly like evolving, learning, working on professional development stuff. So I don't think anybody is the finished article, right? So I always say I'm a work in progress. I always say um, every day's a school day, mostly because I've done something wrong. But yeah, I think even a year ago, I'm a different human than I was a year ago. I'm much more me than I was in 2024. And having had my event, which is only 2 weeks ago, annual event, the Great Geek Together, even when I compare myself to 2024's to today's event, like I'm a world apart. So I think there's something healthy about being a work in progress and always kind of learning. For me, it's like having an open mind and a curious heart, I think.
Oh, how lovely. I like that. So to mention the Great Geek Together, are you going to do it again next year then?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah,
the
I'm a
thing?
complete mug. I'm going to do it again. Yeah.
Because I was talking to one of your delegates the other day, because I came across you on LinkedIn, surprise, surprise, and you were like a ray of sunshine shining through. I mean, I know I've been on LinkedIn for ages, and I know a lot of good eggs, but
Mm.
and fun eggs, and funny people, but you still shone through, and I found myself engaging with your stuff like some weird thing on, like starting to engage with your friends and wanting to go to your stuff even though I'm not in HR. So the Great Geek Together is it just for HR people? Because I talked to one of your delegates and they were like, no, it's not for just HR people. And I was like, what?
I literally could have attended and stalked her in person. Yeah. So the content, we'd say, is just for people that are interested in people. So I'll always have a theme every year. So the first year was connection. This year was authenticity. So the speakers are broadly from around HR, but not necessarily all of them. I think we had 3 speakers this year who weren't HR people at all. So it's just if you're interested in people or if you're interested in the theme of authenticity. Next year, I think I'm going to do a theme around belonging. So if there's something around belonging that you've got an interest in, then come along. And it's a fun, hilarious day. Like, it was an HR conference, and you can't even call it a conference. I was literally talking to the events team today that helped me put it together, and I was like, I don't even know what to call it, because it's not a conference and it's not really HR. It's an event, but it's not really. Is it a festival? Not quite. Like, there's something really unique about it. So we had somebody, for example, smashing up boxes on stage with the baseball bat of authenticity. We had someone crowd surfing. Like, it literally is just the biggest range you could think of just random, beautiful chaos that you could have on a stage. It was just brilliant.
I think there's a portmanteau over there with your name on it. Something like a fest event.
Yes.
Something really
Yes.
cheesy and awkward to say. And completely
A
not
fest
useful
event.
for SEO. Something like Okay, well, what I'm going to do is anything you mention that people might want to look at, we need the links, and I'm going to put them in the show notes. And when I put this live, in all the places I put this live. So we've talked about Beige to Brilliant. Is there anything else you wanted to say about Beige to Brilliant?
No, I think it's an interesting way to, I mean, even if you think about it from the business perspective, it's an interesting way to attract the right people to you, having that little phrase. I talk to a lot of early doors consultants who say, like, oh, how have you created your business and your following? I'm like, literally, because I just put out exactly who I am. And it encourages self-selection, right? Some people absolutely hate the bones of me, and that's fine because they're not my people. So it's that kind of thing about putting yourself out into the world means that you attract the right people back. And I think that's really important, because when you start out in business, you literally you feel so lonely. There's not many people that get you. You're running out of clients and money. Like, you panic about what's happening. And I think that's always the one thing I say to people is literally just be yourself and the right people will come. And it sounds like really tacky, but it's so true.
It's so true. And as I said, I was going through your LinkedIn earlier, and there was this gorgeous quote you shared by Case Kennedy, whoever that is.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know the one I'm going to say? Going to read out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact one. I've said a couple of those.
I'm going to read it. The entire point of life is to wake up excited to be your spicy, real, and vibrant self, not exhausted trying to be someone else.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
just,
Mic drop. Yeah, that is literally, and I shared that one particularly because it literally spoke to my soul. I was like, oh my God, this is what I do. This is the truth.
yeah.
So yeah, Case Kenny is brilliant.
I've never come across him, her, them.
Him,
Him.
Case Kenny. They're amazing. On Instagram, they
American?
share lovely quotes. Yes, and they have a book actually called That's Bold of You.
Oh, by him?
Case
Oh, look
Kenny.
it up. Right, you also are doing something known as Find Your Awesome program.
Yes.
So I think we might have touched.
Yes.
Tell me more. Is that
So
the one that you're taking HR people through modules of HR, like the key HR
yes.
pillars?
Yes. Yes. So it's a 10-week program, all delivered on Zoom, an hour a week every week. It's hilarious. It's funny. It's the training that I always wanted to have had but never really got. And the secret behind it is we call it worky stuff so that your work will pay for it. But the reality is you get a lot of personal benefit from it because you go from beige to brilliant and you learn about yourself and how brilliant you are.
So who is it for? Like one of my sisters-in-laws is like an HR director. Could she be it?
Yeah,
Anyone,
absolutely.
any
Yeah.
level, any role, any company size.
Yeah. So I designed it to be like, I forget the word now. I designed it to be like role agnostic. So you can be in any kind of HR department and come and benefit from the program. Interestingly, a lot of my management development clients also really like the modules for their managers. So I think I've accidentally created something that works for anyone. But it was designed by me, an HR person, for HR people. And I do have a massive range of people that come on the course. So I have people who are not in HR yet, but want to get into HR. I have people who are currently business partners that want to shine up their skills. I have directors coming on it because they want to know what it's all about. So yeah, it lands for everybody in the kind of people realm, but also I think managers really benefit from it too. So although the initial program was designed for HR people, it can definitely translate into being a people manager.
Oh, you see, I'm intrigued now. How can you possibly have created something that is role agnostic?
I know.
You're with
I know. It's very cool. It's very cool.
your
I
magician.
feel like I managed to pick topics that seem to light people up. So I've got things like being commercial. I've got things like imposter syndrome. I've got storytelling with data. Like all of those things fit with just being a manager, don't they? And I've got things like talent and succession that works if you're a manager as it does if you're an HR person. Working strategically fits for HR as much as it fits for managers. So there's lots of like elements in there that can apply to everything. And you just maybe when I'm doing it for particular clients, I might kind of tweak stuff in terms of like examples and angles, but the principles are the same. So yeah, accidentally made a thing that works for everybody.
Oh, well done. Sounds awesome. It has been superb, as expected. You've lived up to the hype, in my brain. Are there any sage words you can leave people with? If you know,
Oh God.
encourage people to show up as themselves and prepare to be Marmite, to allow people to dislike you, like to opt out.
Yes, I love that. Well, I feel like I've kind of said it in the, being yourself encourages self-selection. Like, I feel like that is the primo quote of the day. I just think people are scared to be themselves because they're scared that people won't like them. But the reality is, if you be yourself, the right people will like you, and that's how life goes. That's literally how I created a business, a community, and a program. So, be yourself. You're awesome.
And the secret is, even if you're not yourself, people will still not like you.
Exactly.
You can't win, so you might as well follow the joy and be yourself.
Exactly that.
I'm glad we sorted that out.
Yeah, there's a Dita Von Teese quote. I don't know if you've ever heard it. Dita Von Teese, the wonderful, beautiful, burlesque dancer who's just the most gorgeous being on earth. She says you can be the ripest, juiciest peach in all the world, and somebody won't like peaches. And it's so true.
Yeah. So be a fig or whatever you are.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead, be a banana.
Be a banana. Quote of
That's the quote. That's the clip to go out.
Says, be a banana. Thank you, Michelle. You are awesome. And so am I.
I've loved it. Yes, you are.
Because you're exactly fine as you are.
You have witnessed the show off with Janine Coombs. If you liked it, hit that subscribe button and share with your friends. For more episodes, go to janinecoombs.co.uk/show off.